Well, welcome back, everybody. Today is Tuesday, the 4th of June, 2024. Out in the dungeon, it's quarter to 12. Not bad today. It's got a nice breeze coming through the front door, headed to the back door, where the fan is blowing out. What we're going to do with this video segment is we're going to introduce you to the inner workings of this particular Airline radio. This is the model 04BR-729A. What you're looking at here is going to be the power feed, the mains coming in and converting it to breaking down the separate voltages for the secondary, and where to locate these things, these components in here, according to the diagram. When we get over here into the chassis, we're going to show you where these things reside, so that you can better understand how to their logic in putting together this particular thing. Now, I'm not sure, but I think and I believe that mostly women put together these radios, at least put together at least the inner workings, mounting all the components and getting them interconnected. Because every time I see an old clip of the process of manufacturing these old radio tube type radios, especially back in the early 40s, late 30s, somewhere around there, women were always doing those tasks. And so they had to be taught how to interconnect all of these things. Now, some of these sockets where they had unused pins, they used those as tie points. Not all of them did, but some did. A lot of them did. So what we're going to show you right now is the input to the power requirements for the radio, and where you can find these particular components and how they interconnect with each other. So first off, we have the power switch and a common. I've noted here that's a common, that's a hot. That's what I always considered, was when it goes through the switch, it's the hot lead, and the other one goes into the transformer directly is the common lead. Now, in the past, when they had these two-prong plugs in the thing, they didn't have the polarized plugs. They used those straight blades, and both of them, you could have plugged them in either way. Now, yeah, it will work, but I always, when I work on these radios and upgrade them, I always put the wide blade, or the common, directly into the transformer. The other side, the narrow blade, will go through the switch and come through and tie into the hot side of what I call the hot side of the primary. And then you got all these secondaries here. This particular transformer has a 6-volt tap, a 5-volt tap, and a high voltage tap that includes a center tap that is usually the negative of that power supply. And in this case, that center tap is the ground. It goes right to ground. That makes this side of these E-caps negative. The other sides are positive. they were nice enough to denote these on this schematic. The other manufacturers didn't play by those rules. They just left it to your own. They figured anybody that's working on these radios should figure it out. So that's what you got to do on a lot of these radios, if not all of the radios, is you have to figure it out. So, but they were nice enough to include the polarity on these particular ECAPs. Here is the speaker field coil. This is what they refer to as a pi network, and these here are both the same value, and they go right. The speaker field coil connects the two together. One side of these components ties to the 5-volt tap, and the other side goes into the heater connection, or the heater lug, on the other side of the heater, and pin 8 is the other side. So you got this 5-volt feeding this heater right here, along with the hot side of this capacitor. I guess it's number 1. No, it's C16. This notation here is this notation here. So the two narrow pins on this, it goes to the field coil. The other two, pins 2 and 4, go to the speaker primary. I believe this, yeah, here it is right here. Well, I'll show you that whenever we get that far. But 2 and 4 goes to the secondary of the audio transformer. So let me move here. We'll find 24 and 25 in this get you adjusted here. I only got the one camera, so you're gonna have to bear with me. These are the ones that was located in here. One was right here, right there. That one there replaced it. This one over here was the other one. Don't mistake them for micas. They're not. So 25 here and 24 here. If you look back over here, we got 24 here and 25 there. This here is the one that goes on the common side of the power cord, goes to ground. Over here it goes here. Here's your lead that comes up and goes into the primary, and that's your common side. This one here, this lug over here is going to ground. Likewise over here, this side of 24 goes to the hot side of the transformer. The other side is the input from the line cord into the switch, which is right here. Into the switch, out. 24 ties in here, and the rest goes into the transformer. Now I'm getting ready to swap these caps out, and I figure I would take you on a trip provided it won't be a long one. We're not going to do the whole chassis, but I'm going to give you some insight into what I do on these particular ones. Well, on all of the ones that I do, and how I do them. The technique that I use to get it done. So, what I've done so far is these two electrolytics are housed in one can. That's the one that is right down in there. I snipped the lugs off of them and let the wires connected to each other. It doesn't matter which side goes where. On this particular model, because they're both the same value. So when you got different values in one can, it's a good idea to note the separation of how they are routed in the chassis. So what will happen is I will put a mini terminal strip in here, the mounting lug, which is also a lug option on the thing, it's gonna have two non-grounded lugs and one grounded lug, and that is what I'm going to mount the two E-caps on, and the ground point is going to be soldered right to the chassis on that terminal strip down wherever there is a solder connection to that chassis where that can location is. And then we're going to go ahead and show you how these taps on the secondary are connected in. This high voltage line right here comprises 3 wires, a center tap and one hot high voltage and another hot high voltage. Each one of those will go to pin 4 and pin 4 and pin 6. So to find that, excuse my finger getting in the way, this is pin 4 and this is pin 6. Now there's some color changes on this wire, which typically happens. Typically it is red, and then the center tap is usually designated with a hash markings on it. It'll probably be the same color as the 2 hot leads, but it'll have like a yellow hash mark or striping on it to denote that. In this case, this one runs down here and goes to chassis ground. These other 2 go over here to pin 4 and pin 6. So that's your high voltage leads and your center tap for those leads. Now, the 5 volt is coming directly off and going to pin 2 and pin 8. That feeds the rectifier tube filament. That would be, it's kind of hard to determine the colors on this thing. Here's one, and hidden back in here is the other. Now these are looking brown. So one is going to pin 2, that's pin 1, it's grounded. Pin 2 is here, and pin 8 is here. So you got one 5 volt lead going to 8, and the other 5 volt lead going to 2. That's your power feed for your filament for the rectifier tube. So that takes care of the 5-volt tap. The 6-volt tap is just about as simple as the 5-volt tap and the high voltage. There is no center tap on it. One side goes right directly to ground, and the other side goes to heaters of all the tubes, and they'll be daisy chained in. So what we have here, let me get you adjusted here. Okay, this one and this one, let's get these up here. This one and this one is kind of a green. Typically they do use green for the 6-volt tap. One goes to ground, just like I showed you in the diagram. One goes directly to ground, and the other one goes to the other side of the filament, which is on this particular tube, and this is a case 6. That is pin 7. So one goes to ground, and all these other tubes in here should have one side of their. I accidentally mashed the stop button. Okay, all these other lugs will have one side of their filament lugs tied to ground. The other ones will be daisy chain. Let me take you out of the stirrup here so that I can move you around a little bit more easier. Here is lug 7. You see that yellow one comes out here and it ties to this one. That is lug 7. That's the other K6 tube. It comes out of there, comes over here. That is lug 7. That is the J5 tube. It comes out of there and comes up to here. That is lug 7 of the Q7 tube. And it comes out of there and comes over here, daisy chained into there. If you can see it there. And that is lug 7 of that SK7 tube. And then it comes out of there, comes over here, goes to that lug, which is lug 7 on the SA7 tube, and that's where it stops. The other side of all of these tubes will be except for the Q7. The Q7 uses 2 different, but all the other ones, 2 and 7, are your filament lugs. Pin 2 of all of those, pin 2 here, pin 2 there, pin 2 here, pin 2 there, are all grounded. Over here, I think it's pin 8 on the Q7 tube is the other side of the filament. 7 and 8 are the lugs for the filament, and 8 and 1 are tied together and they go to ground. So that's how you figure these out. So that's pretty cut and dried. Simple enough. What I would suggest is, well, this is a 2-band radio, so it's not going to be that complex. If you're going to start out, do an AM only radio, or a 2-band radio, AM, FM. I wouldn't go to FM too much right away. AM would be a good one to start because there's not going to be a great deal of tubes in there. It's liable to be a transformer set, or it could be a hot chassis set. So make sure you get your proper safety stuff done. You can wear gloves if you're going to have it plugged in. Me, I'm not too worried about getting bit, because I've been bit before, and it's an eye-opener, let me tell you. But as long as you're not hitting some of these higher voltages on the thing, it's been mostly under 200 volts. So you keep your hands in your pocket, or wear some gloves. Get yourself an isolation transformer too. So now we got you right here in this point, right here. The other side of that field coil comes to this one here, and that is this lug right here. See, it's got the one single wire on it. The other one has two wires on it. It has one that goes to the field coil. This is the socket for the speaker, and these two pins right here, pins 1 and 5, are across the field coil. One E-cap hot, other E-cap hot. One comes down to this side, jumps over to that one, comes back. So that's how you tell which one is which here. This one here has one single lead that comes out, comes over to here, travels all the way through, comes up here, and ties to pin 4 of the K6 output tube, and from here it goes down to this K6 and ties to that tube's pin 4. You can find that by following this single lead down through here. This comes down, let me see, here it comes right here. Goes to pin 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and comes back up here. This you can't see it very well here, but I can. And that lead ties here to this tube's pin 4, and that's the other K6. So that's where you are on this map. So let me get prepped for the next segment, and I'll show you what I do with the other caps. Hang on there. Alright, back up and running again. Relieved ourselves of a little pressure, and we're back, and she's pushing 97 degrees so far, and it's tolerable. In my condition, I guess that's great. So we're going to do number 26. Notice that I have already scribbled on a lot of these what numbers they are. I've located them prerequisite to change outs, so that way I don't have to do a lot of research while in progress. So how did I determine that one? Well, I'm glad you asked. You see this over here? Pin 3 to the output transformer, one side of the primary, back through over to pin 3 of the second K6, and the other side of the primary on the audio output. So this is what we did. Let me see if I can zoom you in here a little bit a little bit closer. There we go. Excuse the wobble and wiggle. Okay, so here is pin 1, 2, 3, and that's where it's connected to. Over here on this other case 6, here's the notch. 1, 2, 3. It's the other side of this one. It also connects to one side of the primary, and this side over here connects to the other side of the primary, the audio output. So we're going to change that one out. I got it right here. Let me zoom you back out. Oop, out, 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 out. Okay, right in the middle. Okay, so what I do is take my flush cuts and come over here, take that one right tight to the capacitor, that one there right tight to the capacitor, and I junk it. So I leave these big tails sticking out right there, and I straighten them out, and get them positioning in the right direction. Let me take that little nipple of that thingy off of that, get rid of it. So we will do that, and we will do that. Where the twain shall meet. Okay, that's going to leave a little bit of whoopsie-doo there. We'll do a fudge factor in there. We'll spread that over that way and spread that over that way. That'll give us a little bit more. I don't think we're going to need, since they're so short, I'm not going to need any sleeving on this. So this one here is going to be right there, tight to the thingy, and right here, tight to the thingy. That's where I'm going to start my little pigtail. So I take my pigtail maker, which is an old a mica cap that I ordered, I never used. I got the ones with the biggest leads, so that way I don't have to worry about making these little pigtails too tight. Okay, and I go around like that a couple of times, snip off the excess, take my mini needles and squeeze them back up, straighten that up, take that out, and that will be for that one. Now let's go to the other side, and we will ring this one around, and we will nip it in the bud, and we will bring it back like that, squeeze them up together, straighten that out, pull that off, and we will rotate that in the same direction as the other one. So we don't need a whole lot of tailing on this one. Let's take that little Wookie off of there. We'll take that out of there. We'll nip that one out of there. Now, what I do on all of these little nippleating things there that I leave sticking out there, always leave a telltale where you're at. That's what I do with that. Now, not all people will do the pigtail method. I picked this up in the beginning what I did on the first radio and second radio I tried cleaning up the lug and everything and getting everything all, but I'll tell you, when you get one that has a phenolic wafer on the thing, these here don't take heat too well. They'll take some to a degree, but when you go in and tugging and pulling on it and everything, trying to get the wiring off of it so that you could put something else on it, they'll break. And don't ask me how I know. So I went to one of these, fast heat, get it on, get it off, and get her done. And I went to the pigtail method, because that way I don't have to put any undue heat on the thing in order to make things happen. There you go. So preheat my gun, fire it up, get it cleaned off. You take and scrape those nipples that are left out there, and that cleans the old lead to take fresh solder. If you use a pencil soldering iron, it's going to be wicking and wicking and wicking the heat right out of that tip, and it's going to transfer it right into the socket. Now these here will handle a lot more heat than those will. So I use the gun, so it got instant heat right on the spot that I need it, and get it off. The pencil soldering irons are great for PCB work, not for this stuff. You can do it, but you might suffer heartbreak in the process. So there we go. We got those two done. So what I do now is, since I got 22 done, and I got 26 done. So that takes care of that one, and I don't have to fight with anything on the lug. It's simple. Keep it simple. Stupid. Now up here, notice I got the mini terminal strip in. One is going to take a 16 that way. That is going to go way over there to this ground. The hot is going to go to this lead. This one here is going to go on the other side. Right like that, to that other lead, if you could see it. So that's what's going to eventually happen with that. I got it set up, and I got the things off to the new strip. All I gotta do is get the caps mounted. So that's going to be for later. So we were going to move on, and we're going to go that away till we get all of them in. And if you notice, I have them all ready to go. So all I got to do is look at the number and grab the appropriate one from the stash, clip this out, measure it for the lead length, put the pigtails on it, make the transfers. So, I mean, it's really not that complex. Get your technique down. Practice. Practice. How do you get to Carnegie Hall? Shit, I don't know. I've never been there. And pretty soon you can be able to knock these things out in short order. I mean, they're not really... There are some that are really complex, and they got lots of capacitors, like a Zenith, transoceanic, or a bomber, or a clipper. 17, almost 20 capacitors in the doggone tiny little chassis that's 2/3 the size of this. You're going to have a challenge. So what I would suggest is using the pigtail method. It's the quickest, simplest way. Now you can J-hook it. There's nothing wrong with that. The J-hooking, you know, the way some people J-hook, it looks like a hack job. And, you know, I don't want my things looking like a hack job. And 80 years from now, or 70 years from now, or maybe even 50 years from now, I don't know. When I'm dead and gone and everything, I don't want anybody saying, well, look at this stupid fool. He went in there and J-hooked all those doggone things in there. Who knows? Somebody may come up with a better way between now and then. I will give a crap because I will be somewhere else. So, anyway, that's it for this portion. We're going to go through and get those wiped out, and then we're going to come back and show you what we did and move on to something else. So in the meantime, I'm going to be doing my dial work too and the breakpoints. So stand by, we'll have more. Alright folks, there we are. Capacitor hack, or should I say shotgun, complete. We've got them all in, including the E-caps configured right here. We had 3 resistors that were out of tolerance. This one over here, this one right here, and that one right here. All the rest were within limits. Well, within my limits anyway. Now what we can do is start to put everything back on top of the chassis. What else we got to do under here? We got to scrub that up. We can do that at any time. I just got to note it and do it. One thing I covered in a video a long time ago, and I haven't covered it or made mention of it in years. When you go and you start changing out caps, keep in mind where you might have to go when you get around to it. Like this here. This one here is, they kind of bent that over just a skosh. And I know why, is to keep this up so they could get solder on here without having to ground it to the chassis. But this nut here is for the IF can. And if you have to get in here, fortunately with this one here, they didn't use any rubber wiring at all. So, I mean, there's an IF can here and there's an IF can there. You just want to make sure that you don't place anything back in that you need to gain some room on, possibly in the future or quite possibly in your process of getting stuff replaced. Don't blow yourself out by putting something in where you might have to access it, like this hole right here. Just enough room to get the bolt back, the screw back in for the push button assembly and tuner. This one here also, and that one there also. This hole here is for the lead for the left side lamp. This one over here is for the right side lamp. It comes in and ties, I think, over to here on the K72 filament lead, and this one here comes over here, and it can tie to either this J5 filament lead or this K6 filament lead. Either one. So that's what those holes are for. This hole up here, I gotta get these loose wires. They're here somewhere. There's one, and there's another one right there, and there's one more in here somewhere. That's got to go in here. They go to the volume control and tap on the volume control. Everything else is A-OK. So we're set and ready to flip this sucker over and start planting everything back on the top. We're moving there real quick, so stay tuned. I hope you enjoyed this video and got something out of it that you didn't know, and maybe something you did know that I could bend your ear on and bore you to death. So we're going to go in. It's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and we're going to maybe have us a sandwich or something, maybe some soup, and then later on this evening we're going to come back out here and see what else we're going to do with this thing. I got a tentative on the dial. Now Radio Days makes a reproduction dial for this radio and for the 803 WG803 that has the AM shortwave and two spread bands, but they want $35 and $33 respectively, plus the shipping on the thing. I'm going to see what I can do with this because I want to get the ones that they offer aren't exact matches. Now mine aren't going to be exact matches either, but I do want a 3D effect on it. So I'm going to work towards that, and hopefully we can manage getting mostly there. So stay tuned. We'll be back in the next video, and we'll show you what we're doing on that one when we get to it. Have a nice day, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.